Coming up on Be Kind, Let's Rewind.
Today we are covering Pulp Fiction.
Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
Man, Pulp Fiction is a 1994 American independent crime film written and directed, of course, by none other than Quentin Tarantino.
He liked to say the N-word.
Some ignorant ass.
This is just full of memes. The whole scene
This entire scene is like quotable
of memes.
This is a tasty burger.
It's over there.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing. Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, mother. Say what one more goddamn time.
What?
And then what's he do? He shoots Zed in the dick.
A shotgun to the
4, 3, 2, 1.
Cue music. Check out the big brain on Brad. You're a smart motherfucker. That's right.
Welcome to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for, with your hosts, Chris, Leaf, and Shadwick.
my life. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Be Kind, Let's Rewind.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Nostalgia podcast that no one asked for. Today we are covering Pulp Fiction. As you can see, it's me, Leaf, Shadwick with the head start on us today.
Look, here's the thing. Sunday is one of my days off.
My off days, I start drinking at noon. You don't get to interrupt that.
So,
But to everybody else, it's like, they're like, but it's Friday.
it's 3 a.m. on Friday.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah. More like Holly Weird. Anyway, Pulp Fiction, I believe, released in 1994. Guys, where do you first remember seeing this? Because I can guarantee you this was not a movie theater one for me, and I'm pretty sure I didn't see this one until I was probably 98 or 99 via DVD. Shadwick, do you remember where you first saw it?
It was definitely after it was released for home video, but I'm going to say what it came out in 94, did you say?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I saw it pretty soon after it was released because I was freshman, I guess. High school.
I just remember their big MTV push on this one. They were all over this because I guess Reservoir Dogs, there's some video tie-ins with that.
Yeah,
so I just remember seeing this everywhere.
Yeah. So this was Quentin Tarantino's second film. He had Reservoir Dogs, and then Pulp Fiction. If you ask me, it's a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah,
I watched it again last night, and as I was watching, I was like, God damn, I forgot how much I love this movie.
Oh yeah, it's great. Leaf, do you remember where you first saw it?
This is a Brian Ballard special for me. Our friend Brian Ballard, for some reason I ended up seeing like a lot of unique movies at his house. I had never watched this. This is another one. He was just like, "You ever seen Pulp Fiction, bro?" And I was like, or he had made a reference and I didn't get it, and he was just like, "You ever see Pulp?" I was like, "Nah." I was like, I always meant to. Like, it looked cool. Everyone talked about it.
Did he say he was going to go medieval on your ass?
He did not.
He was always great about that too, because he like had such a massive movie collection. So he would say something, you'd be like, "What's that from?" And he's like, "Oh, hold on, we got to watch it. Let me grab let me grab a chonger. We'll go watch it."
Immediately, yeah, he was on it. I would come over and like just cook at his house sometimes because like I was freshly divorced and had nowhere to hang out. So, like, dude,
your house was just littered with memories and like had to escape them. Which is going to lead us over into. To escape your memories, you know what I'm saying? So this week I'm going back to something I did a few weeks ago, going America as fuck with my Black Rifle coffee and my Gentleman Yak in here. So I hopefully will catch up to Shadwick by the end of the episode. Shaddy, what do you got left? It was full.
Why do you got a cooler next to the computer?
So look, I've mowed about 2 acres today.
All right.
I got hot. I went over to the in-laws across the street. They got the pool. I drug my drunk ass back over here just to appease you guys. So it's a mixed bag, but right now it's the Lennon Kugel.
Nice summer shandy.
Yep. I'm ringing out this summer as much as I can.
Leaf, what do you got, man?
Man, I'm going in lieu of a booze of the week. And in honor of this movie, I'm going to be doing black tar heroin.
Well, can we get a slow motion, just a sexual, sexy as fuck picture of the blood going into the syringe?
That's how you know you did it right.
Yeah,
dude. I got. I'm chasing it though with a little bit of Jim Beam whiskey, dude.
You're chasing your black tar heroin.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay classy here, guys. I don't look like a junkie or anything. And a little coke.
This week on Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the boys drink heroin out of a fire hose.
I said, God damn.
I stole that joke from Nick Swartzen, but I'm claiming it now. Leaf Ben, why don't you hit us with a little bit of boring ass facts and let's jump into this bitch.
Man, Pulp Fiction is a 1994 American independent crime film written and directed, of course, by none other than Quentin Tarantino. From a story he conceived with Roger Avery, evidently, it tells the story of 4 intertwining tales of crime and violence in Los Angeles, California. The film, of course, stars Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta, Bruce Willis, Tim Roth, Ving Rhames, and the illustrious Uma Thurman, who will go on to star in many of those will return.
Oh yeah,
a lot
sure.
of Quentin Tarantino's films.
So one thing I noticed on my rewatch last night is he liked to say the N-word.
he got his fill and he got away with it.
How does that work exactly?
I don't know, man.
I mean, I guess
is there just some people get a pass?
Every time black people want to have a good time, some ignorant ass.
I mean, I guess when you're a billionaire director or whatever the fuck he is.
Yeah, but this was his fucking second film.
Yeah,
I just thought it was cool.
And his first one, I think, was littered with that word also.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe just some people get a pass. We are not those people.
Well, I don't know. Let's try it out and see. Leaf, go ahead.
This movie made no, I'm going to pass on that one, big dog. This the budget for this film was $8 million or $8.5 million, and it made 213. Yeah, so that's how he gets to say it.
I mean, when we covered American Beauty last week, American Beauty last week, and it was like a 15 million or cheaper than that budget. It's crazy that you don't need. Michael Bay, I'm talking to you. You don't need a $3 billion budget to make a good fucking movie.
Marvel Studios, just dial it back,
guys.
Just use practical effects,
please.
All right, so look,
legitimately.
So let's just get into the cast for just a second. This was this was a resurgence for John Travolta.
Yes,
like. He was big in like Grease, and I think what did he have like Look Who's Talking, shit like that.
Oh my god!
But he oh my god! But he kind of like fallen to the wayside, right? Like he wasn't like getting any like big movies or anything. And then this comes along, and I think Quentin Tarantino like sought him out specifically for the role of Vincent.
Yeah, which is wild too that you get an experienced actor like that in a role, to my knowledge, that he hadn't touched anything like that before. And then he
needed it. Like he needed something with meat on it like this. And And
he killed it. Straight.
And I think Samuel L. Jackson, this might have been his breakout role, because I mean he had stuff before this, like
Coming to America, where he was like a
yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. Did you know that this is actually a shared universe with Coming to America?
I mean, it makes sense. You know, he did the organized crime.
Yeah. So he was a thief in Brooklyn or in Queens, right?
Yeah.
He actually got away with a truckload full of Soul Glow and took it out to L.A. Used it himself, obviously. You can see it. You can see it. Mm-hmm. But he couldn't sell the shit. He goes to Marcellus Wallace to try to fence it, and it ends up Soul Glow was pretty much a local phenomenon. Like everybody in LA was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I don't want this shit."
The cherry curl hairstyle.
But that's how he met Marcellus Wallace and ended up working with him. He couldn't sell the shit. He ended up. I think he actually just sold the truck.
He just converted the Soul Glow to it. Found out there was just like one chemical you could add to turn it into black tar heroin.
Yes.
Just let your soul glow. Just let it shine through.
So who knew?
Who knew? It was just a carbon. Just one.
But I think it's almost impossible to pinpoint Samuel L. Jackson's breakout role, because I believe he does a minimum of 450 movies a year.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
So
at least,
and he's been doing that for 30 years at this point. So
well, okay. So for me, then I think maybe this is where I really
for sure
took notice of him.
Yeah, I mean, again, everybody in this movie is fantastic movie.
I would almost say that he's the star of this movie.
I think so. He was. He's the one that stuck out in my head.
Yeah, he has the best dialogue to me. Like we'll get to it, but the whole, the Bible verse and everything.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Which actually, in wrestling, when they steal shit from movies, the Dudley Boys, Devon Dudley actually stole his entire character from this from this movie. So like he was a Reverend Devon or whatever, and so he would quote Bible verses and shit like that. He just never shot anybody, so it lost street cred to me.
Yeah. Go big or go home, Devon.
Yeah, man, come on, Leaf man, start walking us through this biatch.
Man, you got it, dude. So we get to the movie opens basically with an American Heritage Dictionary definition of the word pulp, which is defined as a soft, moist, shapeless mass of matter. For those of you who love that word on the podcast, enjoy that. Or a magazine or book containing lurid subject matter and being characteristically printed on rough, unfinished paper.
I bet that tastes good.
I don't really know what that has to do with the movie. Could somebody like square that circle for me? Like, how does that?
I got nothing.
What does that mean? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah. So immediately we cut to the opening scene of Pumpkin.
Forget it. It's too risky. I'm through doing that shit.
You always say that, the same thing every time.
And it,
played by.
And can we just appreciate the cold opening here?
Yeah, man.
Like there's no lead into it. There's no credits. It's just this phenomenal dialogue between these two people.
Yeah,
like they're talking about. Obviously, they've been robbing liquor stores.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's talking about how it's getting more dangerous because of like the foreigners that don't even understand English when they come in there, and then or.
Old fucking Jews have owned the store for 15 fucking generations. You got Grandpa Irvin sitting behind the counter with a fucking Magnum in his hand.
And he talks about like something he saw where someone held up a bank with just like a phone in their pocket or something.
Right.
And it's like it's just it's easy. We could do something different.
Yeah, and this is actually like the trademark of Quentin Tarantino. Like you can like or hate everything that he does, but the man can write conversations between two people.
You know, it's like him and
better than
Kevin
any other
Smith, dude.
human
Like
being.
him and Kevin Smith, like their dialogue always just, I don't know if it's just we were in their demo, but that always strikes a chord with me. Also, this scene, shout out to Gibbs who joined us for American Beauty.
Garçon means boy.
Garçon means boy, which for some reason was a line that Gibbs stuck to all the time, and so just randomly interject. Garçon means boy.
Yeah,
Which is it's a throwaway line when I went back and watched it too. It's like a dub over too. Like it's not even like I don't think she really said it live or whatever. It's like a dub over and like
And also, so spoiler alert, the scene that we're watching at the very beginning of the movie is also the same scene that you see at the very end of the movie, and
from a different perspective.
Right, from a different perspective.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things in this opening scene when the camera's going back and forth between Tim Roth. What's his name though? Like what she keep calling him?
Pumpkin is his name.
Pumpkin. So
Honey Bunny.
He goes back to Honey Bunny. Mm-hmm. When the camera's on Honey Bunny, you actually see Vincent, John Travolta, walk behind her.
Customers sitting there with food in their mouths. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, which is these are things that you pick up when you watch it for the second, third, fourth, whatever time. Like it's genius.
117th.
Yeah. Also, I always thought like that Quentin Tarantino would write a script that's chronological. He would put the start and the end, and then he would just mash it all up, and then that was the order that the movie was shot in. I thought it was like just some kind of. It was always just weird, but it somehow always made sense. Like by the end,
you can actually hear Jules and Vincent's conversation in this opening scene too.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. So the way he edited the audio, they're bumped up a little bit above the rest of the crowd noise in the background,
so you can
hear them talking.
Yeah.
After they decide they're going to rob the restaurant, she stands up and says,
"Any of you fucking pricks move, and I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you."
At the end of the movie, when they replay this scene, her dialogue's a little bit different.
But I mean, that's like from different perspectives, right?
Right.
Exactly.
And that's what Tarantino says. I don't know if I want to call bullshit on that or not. If it's from a different perspective, do they really hear different dialogue?
Well, you remember different dialogue.
You remember it differently. Yeah.
It's like the telephone game.
Yep, 100%.
Yes.
So it's like that, or like even if you have two people watching the same shit, I mean, you're going to have slight variations in it. I thought it was a good touch. Again, one of those things that you don't pick up till you watch it for the 450th time.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're like, God damn, this dude's a genius. And he says the N-word without consequence.
Yep.
A racist white man's dream, dude. So, Pumpkin, played by Tim Roth, and Honey Bunny, as Chris and Chadwick have mentioned, are having a breakfast diner, and they discuss the idea of robbing the restaurant. Have this insanely mundane but interesting conversation. Again, it's just trademark Quentin Tarantino. And then they just suddenly stand up brandishing weapons and then start the robbery.
Dude, she does a great job. Like, was it Amanda Plummer that plays this?
Plummer,
that craziness in her face when she like has the gun pointed at him, shit is like great. Like
she looked unhinged,
insane. And it was like you flipped a switch and it was just boom,
dude. We should do a side by side of her doing it, and Rachel McAdams does the same thing in the movie Game Night.
Any of you fucking pricks move, and I'll execute every motherfucking last one of you.
And she is significantly hotter.
Yeah.
Yes.
She is.
Sorry, Amanda. That part where Vincent walks behind her in that scene is when I saw it last night, it made me think of when Christian Bale lost his shit when he was filming Terminator because it was like one of the crews, like a lighting guy or something, walks through the back of the scene while he's filming it. Yeah, he's like,
or fucking Nolan, don't walk away from me, Nolan.
It's the best, dude. Later on, though, I've got to say, Amanda Plummer is so good in this because in the end, when we come back to the scene in the end, she just looks completely unhinged. So this, she makes me nervous even when I watch it.
Yeah, she's out of the pocket. Like she doesn't know what to do because like she has this new element. All of a sudden, someone has a gun on her. Someone has a gun on Pumpkin. She's like. don't you hurt him?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
like
it's
great,
oh,
great
man,
job, great job.
She's fantastic. So, trademark again, Quentin Tarantino, at least for this movie in Pulp Fiction. It just the scene ends like it right when the robbery starts. They're yelling, and it just cuts to like another scene, and you have two of the other main stars of the film, Vincent Vega, played by John Travolta, and Jules Winfield, played by Samuel L. Jackson. Just two guys in suits,
yeah, man,
just driving down the street like in a I don't even know what kind of car that is. They're just they're just cruising and having another mundane conversation.
Yeah, dude,
like
about nothing really.
And what do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
But it becomes like one of the more iconic lines out of this movie is the Royale with cheese, like
Royale with cheese. And because evidently they do mention it a couple of times, Vincent Vega, John Travolta's character, had just came back from Europe. Like he had spent some time in Europe doing God knows what.
Amsterdam.
Yeah, in Amsterdam. And so like he came back and he was just talking about all the differences in Europe to with Samuel L's character.
Because the United States was like, hey, everybody else is on the metric system. Fuck us.
It's like you can go to a theater and order a beer.
And I don't mean just like no paper cup. I'm talking about a glass of beer.
And what's the best part about this is it is interwoven with actual exposition, with plot exposition.
Right.
Because they seamlessly go from that into what it is that they're doing. Right. Yeah. You find out that they're basically two hitmen hired by a gangster who work for a gangster named Marcellus Wallace. And they're driving to an apartment to deal with a problem.
Yeah, that's what I like too, is like when they actually arrive at the apartment and he looks down at his watch and he's just like, no, it's not time yet.
Yeah.
And they just like walk down the hall continuing their foot massage conversation where they're really fucking with each other.
So that scene specifically, that camera, it's behind them, right?
Yeah.
Leading up to it, Vincent is asking Jules about Marcellus Wallace's wife, Mia. He like what he knows about her, whatever. He tells him that Antoine got thrown out of a window for basically disrespecting Mia. Allegedly,
yeah.
Gave her a foot massage.
Mm-hmm.
And Vincent is making the point. It's like, well, he might not have expected Marcellus to react the way he did, but he had to expect some kind of reaction.
Yeah.
Right.
I fucking get it. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, like
I'm not going to give either one of your wives a foot massage.
Wow. Right, exactly. Like
yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's laying your hands in a familiar way.
I guess like if you're a henchman though, and I mean you're supposed to babysit the wife, and the wife's like, rub my feet, you're probably gonna rub your feet. Would be the other way to look at that, like to be like, I'm just doing what I'm told, but probably not.
And the conversation is so interesting. Like we're actually having.
Well, I mean, is it the same as eating her pussy out? No, but it's the same ballpark.
I bet that tastes good.
We don't know what he says. It's bleeped out. We don't really know.
It's probably not it, but we don't know. The great part about this conversation is that was it an overreaction is sort of the question, right? Like, do you deserve to get thrown out of the window and end up with like a crippling speech impediment
for the rest of his life?
Today, Junior.
Yeah,
the rest of his life just for massaging a guy's wife's feet. And it's so funny because it's in that area where it's you could talk about it and be like, all right, maybe the guy deserved to beat him.
And they do. And it takes up probably like 2 to 3 minutes of dialogue on this like asinine conversation that really like it actually does kind of set up the Marcellus Wallace being like vindictive and head kingpin, but it's just really.
Well, let me ask you, would you give a guy a foot massage?
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
I'm feeling a little tired. I could use a foot massage.
He's getting tired of it, man.
Dude. And so, I mean, after this conversation ends, they realize it's time, and you're as if you're still watching. You're like, it's time for what? What are they doing? They have guns.
So I have to expect they've given these people a deadline. Like
that's what it is.
They're supposed to either pay some money back or they're supposed to deliver some product or something at a certain time.
But what's genius though is that point gets across to you without them just coming at you right to your face and being like, we got this deadline. There, you got to be ready by 7:30.
It's not quite time. Yeah, let's fall back.
Right, exactly. And they walk down the hall, continue their conversation. But when they bust in or I guess they don't really bust in the apartment. When they get in the apartment, that's when business fucking picks up. And also, what restaurant is serving a hamburger at 7:30 in the morning?
Damn, man.
Obviously, the Big Kahuna Burger.
The Big Kahuna Burger.
Is that true?
That's a Hawaiian joint, right?
Is anybody in the comment sections, if you live in LA or you can get a Big Kahuna Burger, can you get one at
you get one at
7:30 in the morning in LA? Really?
I hear they have a tasty burger. I never tried one myself.
This is just full of memes. The whole
dude, this entire scene is like quotable
of memes.
So I watched this movie last night under the influence, and I noticed some cool shit.
Trying to be so serious.
I know some cool shit last night.
Did you see what was in the briefcase?
So every time that Jules like yells at somebody, like he's talking to a flock of seagulls over there, and somebody tries to answer his question, and he does the
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
It does a close up on him, right? Every shadow, every like molding, everything that's behind him is following his eye line toward that guy. And then when he does his whole speech about the Bible verse, every ceiling mold, every shelf, everything is going to a point behind him. So it makes him look more imposing. It looks like everything is coming from him.
And you will know my name is the Lord.
Is that just a lighting thing?
It's not just lighting. It is lighting, but also like I said, every shelf, every door trim, everything is coming to a point right behind him. So it looks like every bit of energy in that shot is exploding out from behind him.
Got you. Okay, that's awesome, man. So go back and look, watch for that when you guys go back and rewatch this movie. Also, let me stop and say, be sure to like and subscribe, which I always forget to do at the first of the podcast. And if you're listening, we got quite a surge on audio listeners, man. So hit us up with that 5-star if you dig what we're doing, and move forward from there.
Cheers. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, this scene again, despite even which I didn't realize that what Shadow just explained, it's just iconic.
Yeah,
They're in the apartment of Brett and his friends. It's all he calls him. It's all, it's all you know. It's brain. Brett.
Check out the big brain on Brett. You're a smart motherfucker. That's right.
They've double crossed or crossed Marcellus Wallace in some way, form, and fashion. And after a casual conversation, Samuel L's character just shoots and murders one of the guys on the couch.
No shit. Like a seagull.
I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
And so then at the climax of this scene is Jules, Samuel L's character, starts to quote what is supposed to be like a Bible verse.
And it's not exactly right. Like, anybody ever look that up?
It's not exactly. No, it was made. Actually, which is crazy. It was made. I found this little factoid. It was made for Quentin Tarantino's other vampire movie.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn, and it was supposed to be quoted by the preacher in From Dusk Till Dawn.
That wasn't actually a Quentin Tarantino directed movie, though, right? Dusk Till Dawn? Wasn't that a Robert Rodriguez movie?
Oh, maybe they did a duel
co-produced it or I don't know actually.
So this movie sparked a lot of copycat directors for about 8 or 10 years probably. Like you had Desperado, you had Dusk Till Dawn, all kind of like in the same directorial vein, but without the stellar dialogue.
there was a lot of
that's like what always
copycats that
happens,
wanted
though, right? So something works in Hollywood, and then
Yeah.
you try to. Actually, excuse me. Something happens in entertainment, and then everybody tries to copy it. Like that's
Yeah.
always what happens.
Yeah.
That's actually what happened. I'm sure.
I'm
guys,
sure we have copycats of our podcast.
I'm sure we're not copycats at all.
Everyone wants a piece of this, dude.
We're the first people to ever do a nostalgia podcast. No one's geniuses, is what we are.
But genius.
Uh-huh.
So Jules quotes this verse of I believe it's Ezekiel, a passage in Ezekiel. He says, "But they just waste Brett." And his associates over and the whole thing basically is over a briefcase.
Yep.
Vincent finds a briefcase and he opens it up to make sure before they kill Brett and his boys, seemingly. And he opens it up and it's this glowing briefcase which
is like
unknown
this lore.
contents.
Yeah, this has been lore, which is genius on Tarantino's part because never know what it is, and so it lives on forever in fan fiction and whatever.
All right, so the working concept or theory is that the briefcase contains Marcellus Wallace's soul, and that's why when you see Marcellus Wallace, the first several scenes that he's in, you never see his face. You always see him from behind, and he has a Band-Aid on the back of his neck.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there's some kind of folklore about people's souls being extracted through the back of their neck.
Oh, okay. I mean,
so
it checks out.
So I don't know if that's what he was going for. I also heard that it was like diamonds that were stolen in Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
I heard, I read that it was rock and roll.
Well, what's great is like Tarantino's never going to say.
Yeah.
So it's like it'll live on and as it has and create its own whatever his idea was. Someone may come up with something that's better than his idea, and he could just be like, "Yeah, maybe."
The one about rock and roll is a little far fetched, but also it's pretty interesting too. Like about how white people stole like rock and roll from black people.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Like I said, far fetched, but entertaining. Same time.
Yeah, man. All those. But I mean, that's again, when you have a great movie, it has just all the ingredients to be an iconic classic. Like, so what are we 30 years later, and we're still talking about a stupid. What is that? What is it on the scene? Is it on screen for 6 seconds? You open it and it's but 30 years later.
Maybe it was Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
Oh, what's in the box?
What a fucking box.
There's the whole scene's just incredibly intense, and you're just like, if you weren't hooked before this movie, you're in now.
Yeah,
because you're just enthralled with what the hell is in that. These guys are brutal murderers, they're killers. You have no idea, and the movie just jerks you completely the other direction. The next scene, you're just Bruce Willis is front and center in the screen next,
which actually leads me to shit stuck in my head this week.
Hans, Bobby, I'm your white knight.
Booby.
Look,
there was never a
Bruce
better
Willis in a movie, and let me not think about that. So anyway, here we are.
There's never a better scene than when that guy gets killed.
You remember? Did you see Die Hard? He had to walk like barefoot. He had his shoes. That was awesome.
Yes. So Bruce Willis is front and center. You find out it's Marcellus Wallace. We get to meet the gangster of lore from the previous scene, and he's having a conversation with which you eventually find out in the scene with a boxer. He's having him throw a match, and the boxer is played by Bruce Willis, Butch. And
he just has that stone look on his face or whatever the whole time. Because you know what boxers don't want to do? Throw a fucking fight. Because there's that ego involved in that.
Yeah, he's like,
night of the fight, you may feel a slight sting.
That's pride. Fucking
dude, and that's fucking true. Like 100%. Anybody that's competed in any sport, Like, I know it's always easy to be like, dude, I'd take a dive for blah, blah, blah. You know, we always have that stupid thing where like, would you let Mike Tyson knock you out for $1 million? And it's like, well, yeah, but you're not a boxer. But if you were a boxer and you got to step in with a legend and you had a shot to like, you know, then
do something.
Shit's different. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's actually the conversation that they're having. Marcellus Wallace is convincing him, listen, you're not going to want to take a dive. Like, I get it. You've got pride as a boxer, but just like ignore that. And after this is all over, you'll know that I was right. Marcellus Wallace was right, you know, and he was like, now say it. And Butch is like, I go down in the 5th. He was like, that's right. You go down in the 5th.
And that's kind of, and yeah, that's kind of it, right? Like with, you don't really get, you know, I mean, you come back to it obviously, but like.
So then Bruce Willis, like, he walks over to the bar and you see Vincent and he's wearing these ridiculous, like t-shirt and shorts.
No shit. Yeah. This is like out of place as fuck.
And I don't think there's anything that explains like the animosity that Vincent has towards Butch. Like they're sitting next to each other at the bar. Vincent's like, he's looking at Butch to the point where like Butch looks over and it's like, you got a problem, friend? And he goes, I ain't your friend, Palooka.
Yeah.
You know, Kid Palooka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because he's a boxer. And
that's
then
good.
And then you hear Bruce Willis, he just gives him this look like, why the fuck are you saying that to me? Like, what's your deal? And then you hear like Marcellus Wallace in the background is like, Vincent Fagan, get over here. I have a theory. I don't know if it's true or not, but after that little back and forth where, oh my God, Leaf's head fell off.
Pets' heads are falling off.
Okay.
I had to just re-up on the black tar heroin. I'm sorry.
That's understandable. I wonder if Butch goes outside and keys Vincent's car.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
you think
that checks a box?
Yeah, because we'll get to it, but you know, Vincent in a later scene talks about how he's had his choice Camaro like in storage all these years, and he gets it out, and within 5 days somebody keys it.
Yeah.
Like,
that might
I
actually.
never thought about that, man.
That's actually good. I bet you that's what it was supposed to be, because there's actually another little nugget like that soon, which I'll talk about. That's like sort of in the background. You're like, wait a minute. So you find, so that's basically the end of the scene. But yeah, you do notice the weird part is not only Vincent is in the strip club, I guess, where Butch and Marcellus are having their conversation. They come in sort of through the back. So does Samuel L's character, Jules. Right. Like, and they're wearing like t-shirts.
So they're dressed like me. And they were in suits before that. It's kind of like
they're wearing Adam Sandler costumes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's like it's when you
shorts.
See somebody like if you ever worked at a job where people were always in suits and shit. I know, like when we were at the theater, the city manager and regional managers were always in suits, and then occasionally you would see the city manager out like in shorts and a t-shirt, and it's just a weird shock. And this movie definitely does that, where you're like, God, you're out of place. Yeah. Where's your suit?
Yeah,
it's so ridiculous, man. And so that's basically the end of the scene right before it closes. And the entire movie up into this point, Vincent's been having the conversation because for some reason, I don't know why, but Marcellus Wallace wants Vincent, John Travolta's character, to take his wife out.
Yeah,
on a date.
I always wondered, like, I always kind of saw this as like almost a test. Like where he's like testing guys to see if they would go over that line, or if maybe he wants to kill people and he's just looking for reasons at this point. I don't know.
Or maybe he is worried about Mia's loyalty to him, and he wants to keep her occupied with someone that he knows,
right?
That he trusts.
Oh,
that's
so
true.
She can't. So she's not out on her own.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of left open to interpretation on this, which is why it's so good.
The third theory, too, to me, is that Quentin Tarantino is trying to harken back to the old mob boss days when this was sort of the gentleman's thing that you would do. Like if your boss, you've seen it's a trope in a lot of different crime and mob movies. I need you to take out my best girl or my wife and show her a good time. And it's like you guys said, you're just there watching sort of, it's like a double, it's, you know, a double whammy. That you have your guy who you trust watching your wife, your girl, making sure she's on the up and up, but also she's protected too. You have somebody you trust watching over her and keeping her safe. So I feel like that's a throwback to those old.
It is funny though, going back to like before they go into the scene with Brett, where they're talking about Mia, and he's like, well, Jules says, why so much interest in the big man's wife? And he's like, well, he's going out of town. He wants me to take her out. And he's like, take her out?
Yeah, I know. I love that little.
He's like, no, like, you know, take her out, show her a good time. You're going to take Mia Wallace out on a date?
Yeah, it's not a date.
It's not a date.
Yeah, it's not a date. You keep saying like it's not a date.
Yeah,
this is where like it is awkwardness times 50 on this. Like because you got to think too. She doesn't know him. He doesn't know her. It's basically a blind date.
Yeah,
goes and picks her up.
It is awkward. Oh, but before he does that though, don't forget, and I believe this shows how nervous he actually was because he's trying to play it cool.
Yeah, he's got to go get that black tar heroin.
Yep.
He's got to go get the heroin because he's got to do this.
Some of that got to get some of that madman.
Yeah.
Not only does he buy heroin quickly in this scene from the drug dealer, he also
Marty McFly.
Yeah.
Yes, he also shoots it up right there because you don't want to show up sober.
It's the Wolf of Wall Street shit. Like he will not die sober.
Yeah,
he's just like, I'm not going on this date sober.
All right, so he goes to his friend Lance, which is Eric Stoltz, you know, the original Marty McFly.
Yeah,
and
Marty McSuperfly.
Fucking Eric Stoltz is great in this role. Like,
yeah,
he's always walking around in like a bathrobe. He's got the like long hair.
Yeah, man.
The unkept like facial hair, and
quintessential drug dealer, man.
So we talked about Gibbs earlier. One of the lines that we always laugh about, where Lance asks Vincent if he wants to like go out on a double date with his wife and her friend, and he goes, I don't know. Which one is she? She with all that shit in her face? And he's like, no, that's Trudy.
Yeah.
That's my wife.
That's my wife. Yeah.
She the one with all the shit in her face.
All the shit in her face.
So yeah. They is amazing.
And that's also the same scene where he's talking about his car, you know,
being keyed or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, man, it'd be worth him doing it for me to catch him doing it, you know?
Yeah.
You don't fuck with another man's car.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's just more good dialogue, and it actually is a plot point too that we'll come back very soon to. But he shows up for the date with Mia Wallace's, Marcellus Wallace's wife's.
Well, he buys his heroin from Lance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You mind if I shoot up here?"
Yeah, he shoots it.
Mi casa su casa. And then it's just a fucking heroin ad. Like it's this like
I forgot about that.
It's the sexiest. Like you see the needle like puncture the vein. You see the blood go into the syringe.
Yeah, sometimes,
and then you see him. He's driving his convertible and he's just fucking in heaven. I'm like man,
good shit.
It's like I don't really want to do heroin, but I mean, it looks good.
It looks so cool, man.
The only side effect I'm aware of is you write amazing grunge music. So
yeah, I mean, yeah. Look, eventually you lose your life.
Yeah,
but
eventually.
But what do you do before that?
Yeah, that's true.
You become a legend.
Yeah. Eventually, your maid finds your body unresponsive in a hotel.
I don't know what happens after you die, but I know what happens right after you die. You're found.
You're found. Yeah. You also poop leaves the butt.
When you die, poop leaves your butt.
Let's go over this date.
Vincent takes out Marcellus's wife, played by Uma Thurman, to a 1950s themed diner called Jackrabbit Slim's.
Yeah.
So when he arrives at the house to pick her up, though, this is the little things I appreciate. There's a handwritten note by her, and it's not legible. Like it's showing it just like you would fucking see it if you're looking at it.
Yeah.
But then it's read aloud in her voice. So, like it takes the time. It reads, it pauses where it should and everything. And it's just a little touch to me
but it's efficient. It's efficient to get the information across. Like you pick all that shit up without them saying or him being like, "Oh, it's a letter from her." Oh my God. And
John Travolta's impressions are spot on. And you get also the scene, let's not forget, you get the meme scene where he's confused and like looking around in the apartment because she's not there.
Yeah.
Is that what you're gonna say?
And then Tarantino does such a great fucking job of these wide shots and then like a super close up shot. So it's like close up porn for me. Like it shows, it's a close up of her feet, her bare feet as she's like walking through the hallway.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just phenomenal.
We know all about Tarantino and feet, though, don't we?
We do know about that.
Well, tell me about it because I actually don't. I know about the Nickelodeon guy with feet, but
well, basically,
allegedly,
from Dusk Till Dawn. Basically, Quentin Tarantino writes a character that basically like gives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Salma Hayek pours tequila or whatever down her leg. Dripping off her toes into his mouth.
And he cast himself in that role.
But I mean, let's be honest. All three of us,
Selma Hayek.
All three of us would drink her fucking bathwater.
Yeah. Still hot to this very day. Jesus.
No comment.
All right, so in this diner too, this is where they have their. You got.
God damn!
I was gonna say you have that scene that we quote all the fucking time.
I said, God damn.
I know this wasn't by design, but you have all these little quotes that like people use in everyday life to friends and stuff. But then you have the iconic dance scene that was like huge and I remember MTV playing the absolute fuck out of this dance scene between her and John Travolta or whatever. And it still is like a massive pop culture scene. But to get all of that and like the little quips and the little, hey, I send Chadwick after we do a shot and we're like, I said, goddamn, like.
Did you guys realize that the waiter that comes up, did you realize that's Steve Buscemi?
I did not.
No,
I didn't realize
Buddy Holly.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, so Buddy Holly is Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I didn't notice it until last night. I was watching it.
But he was in Reservoir Dogs too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you think that conversation went though? Like Tarantino called him up after Reservoir Dogs, like, hey man, I got this other movie I'm doing. I really like you to play Buddy Holly.
Yeah,
right. Like, fuck yeah, dude, don't play Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
Like, it's a dude playing another dude disguised as another dude.
Yeah.
The whole scene to me, this whole scene is just weird, man. Like it's a themed restaurant. All of the characters are obviously 50s themed. There's Marilyn Monroe. There's Buddy Holly.
I love it. I wish we had one here. I'd go once a month for sure.
They get in like a booth. It's like a cooped, hollowed out.
It's basically like
whatever.
It's like Take and Shake in the 50s is what it felt like.
Yeah, and we were I talked about the close up porn in the previous. This is color porn. When they walk in and like Vincent's never been there before and he's kind of checking the place out. He's walking down. I guess it's just a side wall or something, and it's kind of like desaturated for the most part, and then they've got these like posters on the wall, and every one of them is just like vibrant color.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I deal with a lot of like color, like editing through work. So watching this, like it just like jumps out at me like, God damn, this is such a masterpiece.
It's really really cool. So we do get that scene that Chris mentioned with Uma Thurman going into the bathroom to top up with the cocaine, which we'll play in later. as a very important twist. But yeah, I think she does it before she leaves the apartment, or her house too, right? So she's definitely doing little Toonskis,
Little I will not freebase cocaine.
And I'll do a little toot every now and then. Yeah, I'll get about a half a G, and just
yeah, right. And so she goes to bed, comes back after that, and decides she wants to enter a dance contest.
She wants to do the twist.
And you got to ask yourself, and I've got a factoid on it. I don't know if it's true or not. All of these. If anyone else has one, throw it in the comments. But you got to wonder if this is a callback to John Travolta's days in Saturday Night Fever.
That's what I thought. I thought that's why it was such a big deal in the 90s. Like when everybody was freaking out, because again, we were like kids, right? We're young teenagers. I remember this dance scene plastered everywhere across all media. And I was like, why? Not realizing like, oh shit, like Saturday Night Fever, Grease, like he's going back to dancing again. We hadn't seen it in 10 years. So
watching exactly. And so for people that were a little older than us, right? Watching John Travolta come back to the nearly pushing middle age now, watching him come back and dance on the silver screen again was massive, because that's what he was known for long before this. So there was this was a big sort of an Easter egg for those who remember the actor,
which is a good catch by us on Be Kind, Let's Rewind. We deliver, God damn
it. But Quentin Tarantino said that like when he wrote the role, he did not specifically write it for John Travolta, but he was glad to have him. And he said, he said, everybody thinks I wrote the scene just to have John Travolta dancing. He said, but that scene existed before John was cast. But once he was cast, I was like, great, we get to see John dance. All the better.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a happy accident. But dude, everyone had to wonder, dude, you just wrote, you wanted to see him dance.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, everybody wanted to, though, right? Because, like, I don't remember when Saturday Night Fever came out, but I mean, you're probably 10, 15, maybe even 20,
1977.
So you're almost like, 20 years from last time you really saw him. So it's like him reprising the role again, which we love. Nostalgia is not new. It's been around for fucking ever because we're lazy fucking human beings.
Do we know? Was Travolta bald at this point? Because we didn't know this for years, but he's been bald for a long time. He's been wearing wig. He pulled the old Sean Connery on us.
Yeah.
And you know what? Fuck that guy for being so attractive with a shaved head too.
Sean Connery or John Travolta?
John Travolta.
Yeah.
He finally embraced it. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
He's got a perfect head. Fuck that guy.
He wasn't bald at the premieres and when this movie was getting awards.
He was wearing wigs for years. Like nobody knew that he had lost his hair.
Yeah. He's either got a toupee on and it looks fantastic. I could send that to y'all this picture, but he doesn't look like he doesn't look bald here.
But this, I know
maybe he was.
Well, the same thing with Sean Connery. We didn't know for years that he was bald.
Right. Suck it, Trebek.
It's in your mother's handwriting. She was holding the pencil.
Speaking of suck it, Trebek, this is where she, I believe, after the dance contest, mistakes the little baggie of cracking open a little happiness for cocaine, right?
So throwback to the scene where he gets the heroin from Lance. Lance says, I'm out of balloons. Is the baggie okay?
Yep.
So,
which I never noticed till you just said that. So yeah, good call.
So if he had balloons, she would have probably known, that's heroin. I'm not going to snort that. But since it was in a baggie, the same as cocaine would have been, she's like, oh.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm a snorts puppy.
So after the
Lions puppy.
Yeah.
After the dance contest, they do retire back to an after party at Uma Thurman's place. And yes, she indeed wants to top up for the third time that evening and grabs a little baggie of what she thinks is cocaine from I believe it's Vincent's jacket, but indeed, unfortunately,
don't they have a cool shot on this too when she snorts it and the whole
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's disgusting.
Let's back up for just a second. Quentin Tarantino is great using these. I think it's called rockabilly tracks.
Yeah.
And it's playing. What is it? Is it Son of a Preacher Man? Is that what's playing at this point, or is
I
it?
think so.
Or She'll Be a Woman?
You talking about the dance scene?
The part where Vincent's in the bathroom. She turns on music and she starts dancing.
Yeah.
He does this phenomenal shot of like the music's kind of docile, and then when it like really kicks in, she starts like dancing, going crazy along with it.
Yeah.
It's just great. And she's wearing his coat, his overcoat, and so she gets tired from dancing, flops down on the couch, and then she's like, "Oh, what is this in the pocket here?"
Thinking
it's a baggie. That's got to be Coke, right?
Yep. And
that's not good Coke.
and he's not there because he actually goes to the bathroom for a moment, and he's trying to talk himself not, out of banging her, because he actually had a good time. He had fun with her, like it was good, and he's talking himself up, and he's rehearsing how he's going to leave because he doesn't want to make her mad.
Right,
and he realizes it's a delicate situation. She's going to report back to her husband. What she says could mean his life.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's trying to.
We'll go out. We'll have one drink your drink, go home, jerk off. That's it.
Exactly. And so he comes out to basically, he's already starting when he comes out of the bathroom, but you don't even see him. You just see her after she snorts the heroin.
Right.
And so to Chris's point a while ago, after she snorts that, she starts like freaking out, kind of screaming a little bit, and then she lays back. And I know Tarantino he's a big fan of all things cinema. I think personally, different scenes in this movie are shot different ways. Some of them look like old spaghetti westerns. Some of them look like 70s cop shows. Some of them look like 80s action movies. This shot of her after she snorts that, it looks like a 50s horror movie to me.
Yeah, same here.
Because it's close in on her face. She lays back. It's saturated, but it's smoothed out too. It's almost like a colored version of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. And
she's
foaming at the mouth. She's clearly ODing, and he sees it. And he's like, "Shit." And so
oh, fuck me.
Yeah.
And you don't, and it's still close up on her face. You just hear him off screen going, "Oh, fuck me."
Yeah. It's just her. It's her eyes are rolled back. Like she looks freaking dead already, but evidently she's not. So he does the only thing he knows to do. He throws her in the car and drives to the drug dealer's house.
And look, he calls Lance on his cell phone as he's driving there.
Yeah.
And I do this all the time, and nobody fucking knows what I'm talking about. But when I'm calling somebody and it's just ringing and ringing, I always go, "Fuck you, Lance, answer."
This is unusual too, because remember, this is 1994, so like the cell phones are
cell phone.
So Lance is like, "Are you on a cell phone?"
Yeah. I don't know you. Prank caller.
Yeah.
And then you just hear like John Travolta's car screeching up to his house. He's already there.
Knocks over the trash cans.
Yeah, he's like,
the only thing that would make it better was if a cat like yelled off camera,
That's classic. Yeah. So they take her, he takes her there, and they give her an adrenaline shot straight to the heart, and it's a big fiasco because nobody knows what they're doing.
I got stabbed her 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're trying to figure, they're just stupid. The drug dealer does help Vince, and they inject her with adrenaline straight in the heart, which I was 100% sure the first time I saw this was not going to work.
Yeah,
I was like, these idiots don't know what the hell they're doing, but it does. It
does.
Revives
she comes
her.
back. Yeah.
Brings her back. So like it's just so he drives her back to her house, and they just look like absolute hell. She has blood all over her nose. Like he looks like he is scared to
death. Yeah,
death. Even still, he drops her off. She's completely cool about it for some reason. Still had a good time, and that's basically the end of the scene. She survives, and they go
again
like
this.
ways.
I know it's all it's obviously all interconnected, but this just views like a bunch of short stories. So you get, your almost 3-act structure in every story.
Yes.
But then
Which
there's
is
an overlaying 3-act structure for the entire movie. So it's just
which is
really,
a great
really
point.
unique. Yeah, really unique.
Because if you're watching this for the first time, you've already seen 3 stories for the most part, and then some mini ones in between. You have the couple at the diner. Remember them? You've already forgot about them. They're in the middle of a robbery, and it just cuts to the next scene.
Yep.
You've got a gangster asking a boxer to throw a match. You've got these 2 other gangsters that work for him, shooting up an apartment of a bunch of losers and stealing a magical briefcase.
Yeah,
then there's this whole scene.
Yeah, this whole like non-linear telling it's kind of like Joker in The Dark Knight. He's like,
but I know the truth. There's no going back. You've changed things forever.
Yeah. It has. Yeah. I mean, it's great.
Do you guys remember a non-linear film before this?
No, but I'm sure. No. I'm sure if
I'm sure there probably was, but
he probably drew inspiration from that because he 100%. I've learned in life nothing is original.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are other films, but I can tell you one thing. One of my personal filmmakers, Guy Ritchie, he actually makes one of my favorite films. He does this a lot, and he is a master at it too. In my personal opinion,
what film is that?
Snatch is actually my favorite film of all time. And secondarily, Lock, Stock, and 2 Smoking Barrels is damn near equally as good. I love that style of filmmaking.
Chris Nolan did one called Memento. If you haven't watched that,
I have. I've seen that. And that is an excellent film,
dude. Yes,
dude, it's so good. So we move to the next section called The Gold Watch. And these are all like titled too, like in the movie, so which sections are happening. And there's a flashback of young Butch, the boxer, watching TV. He's like in the 50s.
He's like 5 years old, right?
Yeah,
he's just a little kid.
Little kid, man.
And you see, he gets a visit from Captain Coons, played by Christopher Walken. A friend of his deceased father. He's in full military regalia. And Coons tells Butch the story of the gold watch.
All I know is everybody just has a Christopher Walken impression that's like, I mean, we're not going to go into it here because like it just kind of goes ad nauseum, but like.
Master impressionist Sean here. As Christopher Walken trying out for the Wolfman movie. Whoa, it's me, the wolf. How?
Damn it, Sean.
Oh, God. Go get some za.
Yeah, I gotta fucking stop giving people this link. Or that's gonna keep happening. Like, Jesus. Sorry, ladies.
Yeah. Sean.
He'd be damned.
He'd be damned. Yeah. So anyway,
5 long years. This uncomfortable hunk of metal up his ass.
Captain Coons tells one of the most unhinged stories you've ever heard.
Dude, yeah.
It's about this gold watch that he had in the military that was like passed down from Butch's great grandfather's grandfather, and for some reason everybody's hiding it in their ass. It makes no sense. It's so funny and unhinged, and it's just beautiful. And he gives the watch to Butch.
I think
young
too,
Butch.
this is like got to be a Tarantino thing, like where it's like he's one of the few guys that can write this, and you look at it on paper, and you're like, he hid the watch in his ass. But when you see it, like it's Christopher Walken, it's so over the top, and you're like, yeah, I buy it. Okay, yeah. I'm in now. Yeah,
I believe this. Yeah, here it is.
Much like the watch, I'm in.
so Captain Coons gives him the watch, and it's a memento.
It's a bit nutty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It matters. It's a plot point going forward.
And can I just point out, it's a shitty watch. It's one of those that has like the elastic band on it.
Yeah, but like you try putting an expensive watch up your ass.
I will not.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, you're not going to stick a Rolex will just gut you. So, like,
dude, and evidently,
I'll take pleasure in gutting you, boy.
Evidently, it was one of the first watches made right here in Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, Knoxville, Tennessee. Cheers. So, flash forward, and Butch is basically waking up on. He's sleeping in the back room before the fight that he's supposed to throw.
Fifth round.
Yeah, right. And he ends up just like, let's just cut to the chase. He ends up flat out double crossing Marcellus Wallace and knocks the guy out. Not only does he knock him out, he murders him.
Yeah, he finds out as he's escaping in a cab. The cab driver's like,
guy's dead.
Like the
guy's dead.
He's dead now.
Yeah.
but so here again, to me, it seems like the editing changes on this because the tempo picks up. He's trying to rush out of the stadium, right?
Yeah.
Marcellus has called in like Vincent and another guy to try to chase him down. To me, this is shot more like an 80s action movie.
Well, see,
it's like Beverly Hills Cop or something like that.
I was going to say to you,
the tempo
like,
changes.
You pick up stuff that I'm not going to pick up, but every single one of these stories seems different to me, and it's probably because they're shot different and why they stand out so much, because it's in the same timeline, it's in the same universe, but every one feels different every time you watch it, And
that's a good point.
Why.
But he does all of his movies. I assume he doesn't do any kind of like CGI stuff. Mm-hmm. I assume he doesn't do any set work. He probably shoots everything on location.
Yeah,
and it has this. All of his movies have this old school, maybe like 60s, 70s, like everything was shot in California. Mm-hmm. It has that kind of nostalgic orange glow to it.
Right.
If that makes sense. It's kind of oversaturated. Just, it reminds you of Breakfast at Tiffany's or John Wayne movie or whatever.
The green screen when he's in the cab is so bad it physically made me laugh, and Tarantino had to do that on purpose. But it's almost like a detective noir, like when he's escaping.
Yes, like
old school,
like Sin City or Dick Tracy. Or something.
Literally is how that whole scene is.
So that's
filmed.
what it is. I made a note of it last night. Mm-hmm. All of his. The color editing is like just this side of being cartoonish,
right?
He's playing in that like perfect field of how saturated you could make something without it being like just cartoonish and unbelievable,
right?
And it is amazing. But in that scene, Butch is escaping because he's double crossed Marcellus Wallace. Not only did he beat the guy he wasn't supposed to beat. He fucking murders him. That's how hard he wanted to win. He wanted to absolutely dominate the fight. And so he did. And you see him stopping off and making some phone calls. You find out he bet everything on himself.
Right.
And,
with like multiple bookies.
Right.
Multiple bookies. And he's escaping. He meets his French girlfriend back at the hotel.
Fabian, which let me go and tell you, I fucking hate her.
I would rather watch Beautician and the Beast. I would rather listen to Fran Drescher for 8 hours.
You know what? Like, I started out hating her at the very end, but then at the end, I feel sorry for her because what happens is they're escaping. Obviously, they got to get out of town. Marcellus the gangster is going to murder them, especially Butch, in a horrible way. He's looking for him. And the one thing he asked his French airheaded girlfriend to get was his grandfather's watch.
His watch.
His grandfather's ass watch.
She left it at the apartment, and they're at a seedy hotel about to escape to Knoxville, Tennessee.
So how funny? It's funny because how realistic it is. He loses his shit for a minute. And then he walks it back. He calms down. He's like, you know what? It's not your fault. I asked you to get a bunch of stuff. It's fine. I'll go back to the apartment, whatever. And as soon as he gets in the car, he's like, "Motherfucker! Like, what fucking thing I asked you to get?"
Yes,
this is our Birdie's man.
She clearly, yeah. She clearly didn't mean not to, forget it, but she did, and so now he's got to put himself back in harm's way to go get it because he's not leaving it again.
Right.
I mean, 3 men had this watch in their ass. He's not leaving it behind in
I don't
multiple
care if that
wars.
motherfucker's a Casio at this point. Like, you got to go back and get the watch, man.
I mean, again, it couldn't be any more than a fucking Timex because it had
took a licking and kept on ticking, man.
it took a shit and it kept on ticking. It had those fucking like little, the little gold plates on it, but it was still on like an elastic band.
It was one of the first watches ever made.
It was, man.
Wristwatch.
It had sentimental value.
It's sentimental, dude. So Butch goes back for it. Cut to the chase. He gets back to his apartment.
Had fecal memories to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he finds the watch. He puts it on, and I mean, like he's kind of looking around the apartment. None of Marcellus Wallace's thugs or around. He decides to make himself a Pop-Tart. Then he sees it looks like a Mac 10 or a silenced minigun sitting on the table in his kitchen in his apartment. And he goes and he grabs it. And right that moment, Vincent walks out of the bathroom, evidently taking a shit, reading some French, which he does a couple of times in this movie, by the way. Like, I don't know what it is with him and taking a shit, but he's always reading this like French book. You do?
I do. It's because of the heroin. Heroin makes you constipated.
Oh, so he's trying to
shit. Yeah. So if you notice, he's always in the shitter when something happens.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
I just thought he was Brian.
Yeah.
He had bolleitis.
Razor bowl.
So unfortunately, Vincent comes out to Butch holding the gun, and Butch just blows him away unceremoniously.
With his own fucking gun.
Yeah.
His own gun.
Blows him like back through the shower door.
Yep, fills him full of lead, and that's it. Vincent's dead. Only he's not, because we have multiple scenes coming up where he's still alive, because this is just filmed completely wonky and out of order. But Butch jumps in the car. He's got the watch. He killed one of his assassins. He's just on cloud 9.
He's got this big shit-eating grin. He's like, dude. He's like that. That's how you stay ahead of them. They keep underestimating you.
Yeah, dude. He's celebrating,
and then how fucking funny is it, dude? He pulls up to this intersection, and of all the fucking people that could be walking across the crosswalk, it's Marcellus Wallace with some donuts and coffee, and he stops in the middle of the road and looks through the windshield. And he's like, is that the first time you see his face?
Yeah, it's the first time you see his face, to my knowledge. Yeah.
So it's the first time.
So Marcellus Wallace is Ving Rhames, big muscular black dude, imposing, and you see him. He's in his like nice tailored suit, holding those donuts, and he's like, motherfucker. So I mean, what's Bruce Willis going to do? What's Butch going to do in that situation? He's going to run over him with that little Honda.
Yeah.
So he runs Marcellus Wallace over with the car, but he in doing so, he runs a red light and gets T-boned at the intersection.
Yeah.
So, and what would you say? What would you say if I said, all right, so here he is. You've got this conflict. Marcellus Wallace, they run into each other, and that moments later, someone is going to be getting ass raped.
It is the craziest fucking what is it in Arkham games, all the little side
quests.
Yeah, little side quests. It's the craziest fucking Riddler side quest that you ever seen.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's insane, and it's like it's one of those two where you don't even really realize what's happening. Like when it starts to happen or whatever, you're like, where am I? It was like when the first time I watched Dusk Till Dawn, I thought it was a kidnapping flick, and then all of a sudden, like, vampires appeared. I'm like, where the fuck? How did we get here?
Yeah.
What happened?
And I don't think, 1994, I'm, 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
I don't think I even knew what a GIMP was.
Oh, I didn't. 100%. Actually, I didn't. And there's a video game that I played later on called Postal that it's kind of acclaimed as in like a super violent game, but there was a cheat code or there was some kind of hack or some shit where you could be dressed up like the GIMP when you went on your postal rampage or whatever, something crazy. I was like, Jesus.
If anybody wants that.
Yeah.
So all right, yeah, they
have a chase.
So he runs over him. Then you see he gets T-boned, and then I think it's like a close up of Marcellus Wallace. He's laying there, and there's all these people like standing around him, like oh my God, I'm a witness for you. I saw him run you over. He wakes up. He's obviously concussed. He can barely walk. Bruce Willis, he's still in the car. His nose is all bloody, and like Marcellus Wallace, he stands up and he sees him, and he's like, "Motherfucker!"
Yep.
But so he starts fucking shooting in the middle of the street.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang! Bang! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed.
I guess he gets Bruce Willis in the leg, maybe, but he also shoots this girl, this like bystander that's like checking on him. He shoots her, and so Bruce Willis, he flees into this pawn shop, and fucking Marcellus is stumbling across the road, barely able to stand, but still a pretty good damn shot apparently.
Yeah,
and
they're fighting in the pawn store, and they're interrupted.
Yeah, they go in the pawn shop. Marcellus comes in. Butch like attacks him. He's got him down on the ground. He's got the gun out of his hand. He's punched him. And then you hear the shotgun racked behind him.
One of the most recognizable sounds in all of human culture.
Yeah. So boys and girls, if you're listening, if you ever have someone break into your house, the best thing to do is to have a shotgun just to make that racking sound, because that will scare 90% of them out of your house.
Fucking bounce, man. But this is where it takes. This is where it takes the turn, man. The shotgun. You think like, okay, they don't
turn up the ass.
They're like, yeah, I don't want this. They're wrecking your pawn shop. You don't want them in here, so obviously you're gonna call the police. And oh wait, no, we're taking him to the basement. And what's happening now? And who's this guy in full leather that's over in the corner?
Yes,
and
it's so incredible. Like, you really do think like he called the cops, like. He knocks out Bruce Willis. They're both unconscious, right?
Yeah.
He calls somebody. It's like, hey, Spider called a couple of flies here. And then the next scene is there's a cop there. And you're like, okay, he called the cops.
Oh no, it's the cops,
but the cop sits down, and he's got like this Buffalo Bill vibe to him.
Yeah.
Like,
oh wait. Was she a great big fat person?
wait, which one of you I want to fuck in the ass first?
I know. Right. I pulled my Shane Gillis when I saw that part, and I was like,
it was Butch and Marcellus are captured by and I knew this was going to go south the moment I saw this with the rebel flag on the wall, which is in the pawn shop, by the way. Like immediately, somehow in the middle of downtown LA, they run into two gay rapists from the South that capture both Marcellus and Butch, tie them up, put a ball gag in their mouth. They're keeping a GIMP in the basement. All the hell is breaking loose. The owners Maynard and Zed. One of them is a police officer.
Which this
like
is
Chris
appropriately
said.
like. I kind of get like why, like we said, it's a bunch of short stories in this, but I kind of get this is where it is because everything before this is pretty fucking ridiculous. If you put this in the beginning of the movie, you probably lose me.
I definitely.
I mean, it's uncomfortable as shit.
Yeah, very bad.
But even the GIMP thing, he goes, well, get the GIMP, and so. It really does play like a fucking horror movie.
Because
because you just see these two guys sitting in chairs. They're bound. They got ball gags in their mouth,
right?
And you just hear this like creaking and slamming of metal in the back because this dude, this gimp, he's in this completely like complete leather suit, but he's in a cage, so he's completely like devout of any humanity at this point.
Right? Yeah.
It's
like really
weird.
weird.
It's like Reek on Game of Thrones.
On Game of Thrones,
horrible, man. Like it's
which was another one that I just won't watch again. Like that just makes me fucking uncomfortable when you take someone's humanity away from them.
Right? Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
But in this situation, did the guy willingly do that?
Yeah, I mean, but you don't know.
Who knows? But
so yeah,
they bring this guy out. He's got on this full leather costume, a mask. You can't see his face at all. And they basically leash him to like a zip line that they have built in this basement.
So I went out and I got him a leash.
A leash?
Yeah, one of those ones you can hook onto the clothesline.
You can run around and dig.
He's
so
he's really starting to blossom.
Yeah.
So Maynard and Zed decide they pick Marcellus Wallace to be the unlucky recipient of some private fun time, and Butch is left to be tied up to the chair to be watched by the Gimp, who does a shitty job watching him. Bruce immediately breaks out. His character Butch breaks out and knocks out the Gimp and decides to escape. So he is almost out. He has the keys to one of the guys' motorcycles. He is at the door, ready to escape. And unfortunately, while Marcellus Wallace is just being manhandled in the butthole and not by a watch.
And I don't know if this was supposed to be funny or not, but when Butch knocks out the Gimp, he's hanging by that leash.
He's just swinging.
He's swinging, yeah.
It's so stupid. But the last one, I don't know what happens, but Butch changes his mind and he decides to go back and rescue Marcellus, grabs a samurai sword.
I mean,
off of the...
pick your worst enemy. Like, I don't know, man. Do you want to leave?
I don't know, man.
Anybody that you know, anybody that you've had a conversation with, a meaningful relationship with, do you want to leave that person being ass raped by two rednecks?
I mean, the only thing is you run the risk of like him
killed
like
yourself.
Murdering you afterwards, just because he's still mad at you, right? I don't know if it completely makes sense.
I don't know if he thought of it like that, but
like Rex Ryan said,
it's kind of a moral thicket.
So he goes back to rescue Marcellus Wallace.
It's a question of morality. As you pass, you give him the ass or the crotch.
Yeah.
So he does. He murders. He goes through
samurai sword.
Yeah, dude. He goes, and it's funny too because he picks up. I can't remember what the first thing is, but he puts it down because he sees a ball bat. And then he puts the ball back down because he sees a chainsaw.
It's like a hammer.
And then I think it was a hammer. And then you have this kind of like iconic like shot, from above down at him, and you see his face, and this is like epiphany, like, oh yeah, that's my bad motherfucker.
This is the weapon.
So he gets a fucking samurai sword, and he goes back down into the basement, and unfortunately, we do see Marcellus Wallace just getting beholed.
Yeah.
And then you see that Marcellus, he sees Butch coming in, and he takes notice of it. You kind of see him looking over to the side, and that's where you kind of start thinking, oh, this might have been a smart play for Butch because he's going to save this dude that was trying to kill him. And then you get this fucking crazy view of Maynard. He's like he's doing the J, like he's mouthing words like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's just into the,
And then-
the assault.
and he turns around just in time to get fucking sliced up the gut with that samurai sword.
Which by the way, is a throwback to Quentin Tarantino's love for Kurosawa and samurai films. That's a classic slash across the chest, and they turn, and there's a cut. Like that's like classic, like Sonny Chiba, like all of those samurai films.
I hope one day
he loves.
I hope one day he does a samurai movie like with Uma Thurman. Maybe he could. You could break it into 2 parts.
You could at least get 2 out of that. Yeah,
yeah,
at least 2. And so he kills, and then he even does like the reverse stab. Like he murders. Maynard, and the other assailant stops and is pinned against the wall, and he has him at sword point, and he's like, Butch is just begging him to go for the gun so we can kill him too.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Marcellus Wallace gets up though,
and then what's that sound?
Rack the shotgun.
Step aside, Butch. And then what's he do? He shoots Zed in the dick.
A shotgun to the dick.
So Marcellus Wallace shoots Zed in the dick and tells Butch, "We're even. You saved me.
Yeah,
you know,
get the fuck out of town.
Yeah,
Come
just
back.
you get out of town."
So here's another scene where the imposing person, Marcellus Wallace here, all the elements in the room are coming to an angle behind him, and even Bruce Willis is behind him in the background, but he looks minuscule in comparison to Marcellus Wallace. So every time that there's a scene where someone is supposed to be threatening, he does a great fucking job of all the shadows, all of the angles of the room, door frames, shelves, whatever, are pointing right behind that person. So everything is exploding from that one person.
Yeah. And so Butch does what Marcellus says. He jumps on, he steals Zed's bike, picks up his Chadwick's favorite character. He takes Zed's chopper, picks up Chadwick's favorite character, Butch's French girlfriend, and they basically ride off into the sunset.
Even at that, when he goes pick her up, he's like, "We gotta fucking go. Let's like chop, hurry up." And she's like, "Where's my Honda?"
I'm sorry, baby. I had to crash that Honda. Will you come on now, please?
Where'd you get this motorcycle?
It's not a motorcycle, baby. It's a chopper. Come on, let's go.
Where'd you get this chopper?
Zed's.
Who's Zed?
Zed's dead, baby. Zed's dead.
Like, just get on a fucking motorcycle. Let's go.
Every single man, husband has been in this situation when it's 20 questions time, and there's no time for 20 questions. And I wished it wasn't that way. That has been the source of about probably a bunch of relationship ending fights for a lot of men 100%. Because it's just women want to know all the details, and it is not time for details. It's time to ride off on dead ass Zed's chopper.
It's basically getting your wife drunk at a restaurant and trying to get her home before she falls asleep.
That's very true.
So that's the end of that tale, and we cut back to the previous storyline where Vincent and Jules are back in the apartment. And you hear the line where they're about to blow that guy away, and then they shoot with the Ezekiel line. He shoots him, and then there's a guy in the bathroom though with a huge freaking hand cannon.
Yeah,
and he comes out of the bathroom.
Did you forget to tell us there was a guy in the bathroom with a fucking hand cannon?
Yeah, and this is really important. He comes out of the bathroom and just unloads at him, and from his point of view, he's just blasting, and you're like, they're dead, but it cuts to them, and they're. The bullet holes are all behind them, but he missed every shot. So they kill him. So he's dead. It really changes Jules' life. He assumes and believes 100% that this is a miracle and that he was spared, and decides that he's probably going to give up being a gangster and just follow where the wind will take him.
How funny is it when he asks Vincent, like, do you know, is it divine intervention? Is that what he says? Like, you know what divine intervention is? He goes, I think so. You're trying to say that God came down and stopped these bullets? And he goes, that's right. God came down from heaven and stopped these motherfucking bullets.
It's so good, man. It's so good. Like, so he basically like finds God in this miracle. It's like, okay, like I took, I got this, right? Like, like I understand.
Yeah.
This
so
is not.
If we didn't explain it before, they have an inside man at Brett's apartment. His name's Marvin. He was supposed to give them the intel on like how many people were there,
right?
How many people were armed or whatever.
Yeah.
So Vincent has not met Marvin before this. As you see Marvin sitting there like freaking out because of all the death around him, you hear Vincent or you hear Jules going, Vincent, this is Marvin. Marvin, this is Vincent. It's got kind of off screen or whatever. And then and then Vincent's like, did you forget there was somebody in the bathroom?
Yeah.
So then it cuts to like they're in the car. Yeah. It's Vincent, Jules, and Marvin's in the back seat, and Vincent turns around and he's got a gun in his hand, and he's just like he's talking casually. He's just got like resting on top of the on top of the seat. He's talking to Marvin, and all of a sudden the gun goes off. Fucking brains, blood everywhere on the back windshield.
Again, another fucking like right turn out of nowhere where you're like not expecting with this thing to go.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this line is so funny to me. Maybe it's just the way he says it, but he's like, I didn't mean to shoot the son of a bitch. The gun just went off. I don't know why.
Yeah. You get I shot Marvin in the face. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God! I shot Marvin in the face. But he's like nonchalant about it. Like,
right?
Yeah.
He's always like even kilter. Like he never,
right.
He never gets super excited about anything.
They're professionals, man. They've killed a lot of people. Clearly, they're just kind of agitated about the problem because now there's just guys like brains and a dead body just splattered in the back seat. So they got to do something. So they drive to Jules' friend's Jimmy's house, played of course by Quentin Tarantino, who just egregiously uses his N-word card.
He likes to say the N-word.
He gets his fill. But they get rid of the body, right?
They get rid of the body.
But was there a sign above his garage that says?
All right, that's good. So they call it. So Jimmy calls in Winston Wolfe, played by Harvey Keitel, to take care of the situation. And long story short,
character. Love that.
He does. He's just such a cool, like clean, laid back character. Obviously, there's tons of throwbacks to movies that Quentin Tarantino.
But this is why they're in the street clothes, though, right? Because they had to take their suits off because there was blood all over it. So this is so earlier in the movie when they come in and it's all like they're in t-shirts and shit, and you're like, why the fuck are they in t-shirts? This is why.
Yep. And they exactly. So they get all cleaned up. They're done. Poor Marvin is cleaned up. They take the car to be disposed of. And it's been a crazy day.
Yeah.
So they're in there. Instead of their trademark suits, those are all gone and burned. They decided to stop at a diner and get some breakfast, man.
And that scene is just full of more fucking just great dialogue. Like they're in the bathroom, like trying to like clean their hands, like wash off or whatever. And Vince gets a white towel and he's drying his hands and he gets blood all over it.
Yeah.
And Jules like jumps on him like, you're making a mess. And he's like, well, it's just not coming off. Maybe he has some lava or something. I could do a better job. like, where the fuck does that come from? Like, it's just so fucking good. And then they're in the car. Vincent's up front, like cleaning up whatever. And Jules is in the back and they get kind of heated back and forth. And Jules is like, well, you're the one that shot him. You should be on fucking brain detail.
Yeah.
We're switching places.
Yeah. It's just every scene is. We've skipped over so much. If you haven't watched this, go watch it. It's just chock full of hilarious like conversation and interesting dialogue. And we arrive full circle finally at the final scene
at the diner.
They go to get some breakfast at the diner, which as Jules is explaining to
Vincent,
thank you, that he's basically decided he was done.
He's done.
And Vincent goes to take a shit because evidently black tar heroin causes constipation.
So one of the lines that I quote quite a bit that again nobody fucking gets is they're talking about they're talking about pork, and Jules doesn't eat pork.
Mm-hmm.
He's like swine's a filthy animal. Vincent's like, yeah, but bacon tastes good. Pork chops taste good. And then Jules says this one line, and I say it all the time when someone's like trying to convince me to do something that I don't want to do. He goes, sewer rat might taste like pumpkin pie, but I'll never know.
This is great, dude. There's just so many great lines. But as Vincent goes to the bathroom to take a heroin dump, the two Pumpkin and Honey Bunny start holding up the diner, and there is just this intense scene that goes down where Pumpkin puts a gun in Samuel L's face. It's basically like, give me that briefcase.
Yep.
The magical briefcase.
Magical
we all
briefcase.
know.
Yep.
And Jules is not parting with it.
Mm-hmm.
He's not parting with it. And he ends up basically disarming Pumpkin and putting a gun in his face just when he was trying to quit being a gangster.
Mm-hmm.
Honey Bunny jumps up on the table, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the podcast, and she is unhinged. I knew for a fact she was going to start shooting. She just looked scared and frightened and insane.
Yeah, man.
And I'm like, man, this bitch is about to start shooting like any second. You just
blasting.
get that.
Say, bitch, be cool.
Yep.
Bitch, be cool.
Feeling. Vincent comes out of the bathroom. He puts a gun on Honey Bunny. It's like an old school Mexican standoff. Everybody is just completely.
And it's cool too how. So Jules has a gun on Pumpkin, on Tim Roth, and as he's trying to get her to calm down, he keeps telling Tim Roth to tell her, to
tell her to calm down. Yeah,
tell that bitch to be cool.
Yep.
just showing what an absolute pro Samuel.
Yeah.
L.
So everything
was.
that he wants relayed to her, he's putting it through her man.
Right, so he's saying it and not Samuel, not Vincent's or Jules' character. So
yeah.
So
then he starts explaining to him like I've been living this life for a long time. I'm trying to get out of it, and then he gives him the Ezekiel speech, and then he gives him like 3 different interpretations of it, and each one is like kind of peaceful or whatever, and he says, but that shit's not real. The truth is, you're the weak, and I am the tyranny of evil men.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn, it's powerful.
100%.
It's powerful because, and it shows that he understands what he is and what he's been, and he doesn't want to be that any longer.
Right.
He's come a long way from holding up McDowell's.
Yeah,
he really has. He's decided to change his ways, convinces them to take their ill-gotten gains they robbed from the patrons in the diner and go their own way. And despite Vincent's better judgment, he wants to start blasting. And they could have killed him. These are amateurs. They absolutely could have murdered him.
Yeah.
But Jules is different now. That symbolizes his willingness to change, and he has changed. And so the final scene that you see them, the couple, Honey Bunny, believe it or not, I can't believe nobody gets killed here. Spoiler alert. Honey Bunny and Pumpkin, played by obviously Tim Roth and Amanda, leave the restaurant unscathed, as does Jules and Vincent. And that's the final scene. And you know what happens, obviously, because we saw it in the middle of the movie. What happens to
I'll tell you what would kind of be fun when we get our Patreon up and going. I'll render this movie. We should cut it up and put it together chronologically if possible.
Dude,
and rewatch it chronologically.
It still works. One of the things that I saw on here was that the film actually still works if you watch it chronologically. So
we'll chop it up. We'll give it a shot. So stay tuned for Patreon. That'll be hopefully October-ish. We'll see. We'll see how things go, how life treats us.
Come on, Patreon.
It's how long I got to work nights and drive a cab.
How much longer you got to do that shit?
No one fucking knows, because I won't get into it. So look, this movie, if you haven't seen it, go see it. If you've seen it, go watch it after you hear us talk about it, especially all of Shadwick's insight on the lighting and everything. It completely will open up the movie to a new movie to you, which you'll notice and appreciate in this thing.
Warning: it is extremely violent. It has the damn near the record for the F words and vulgarity.
Yeah.
It's violent. It has sexual themes. Just
hold on.
Fair warning.
Are you saying that Samuel Jackson might have said "motherfucker" once or twice?
He may
allegedly
said that, which is right up.
Did he also, along with several other cast members, say the N word?
Yes, indeed. That is on the docket as well. If you watch this film,
that's on Quentin Tarantino's rider. It's like he needs only red jelly beans. He needs Cheerios, and he needs to be able to say the N word 7 times without consequence. So,
I think you're lowballing it, but okay.
And with that, guys, I'll go ahead and lead us over to our Norm Macdonald clip of the week.
In economic news, the Mexican peso yesterday sank to an all-time low as it showed up drunk to a family reunion and hit on its cousin, the centavo.